Hey everybody, let's take a look at an absolutely absurd watch here from Spinnaker. This is their Piccard. Now, from head on, it doesn't seem that absurd. We see a lot of reflection here. But let's turn it to the side here. And that is absolutely ridiculous. This watch, well, firstly, this is my first Spinnaker, and most of their watches are, let's say, like really normal and really nice. They have a lot of different models, but I have a lot of watches. I tend to gravitate towards things that are just kind of ridiculous and kind of weird. Once I saw a picture of this from the side, I said, I need, I don't know if I really even would wear it a lot, but I need to see that. I need to get my hands on it. This Piccard has the most exceptionally domed crystal. That's a sapphire crystal right there, and that protrudes significantly. This is an absolute beast of a watch. So it's called the Piccard because it's named after a Jacques Piccard, who was one of two people to make it down into the Mariana Trench before anyone else, sometime in the 1960s. It was like a deep ocean race. And their craft, I think the bathyscape, looked something like that. Maybe that's upside down. Yeah, something like this. Had these massively, let's open this up, massively domed glass protrusions so that I could actually do things and see. If you've ever seen any deep water submersible craft, they're usually steel or titanium spheres with large, glass portions that look like that, super thick. And I've just, quite frankly, never seen a watch like this. Let's get the dimensions. They're kind of the notable part. If I were to just measure the case itself, and that's kind of hard, so including the bezel and the case back, I'm seeing 15 plus millimeter, and I honestly don't think I'm grabbing it by the thickest part. So yeah, 15 millimeter there. But if we get really the whole thing, including that crystal, that's 21 millimeters thick. That is absolutely absurd. I'll compare it against another watch which is known for being thick. This is the an SBBN Seiko Tuna, and that's, which I think is a big watch, 14 millimeter right here. You just see them side by side. This trounces it. Yeah, even with that shroud. The thickness is not the only thing. It's just a big watch. Let's get that thickness here. I'm seeing 45 millimeter. Yeah, that's kind of big. What about lug to lug? Like it matters. 51. That's a big guy there. Why would you get this? Well, I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't a single person who owned this watch that actually took it anywhere near its limits. Even like some saturation diver. Like, that's absurd. You see it's rated to, let's zoom in on this so we can get a better look. That really domed crystal, it's impossible to not see reflections. That looks like a disco in my room. It's impossible to avoid that. You see it's rated to 550 meters. That's a bit of an odd depth. There's 100, 200, 300 meter watches. I have some 500 and 1,000 meter watches, but not 550. That's because 548 meter is the same thing as 300 fathoms. Fathoms, a unit of measurement that's, I don't think, used at all anymore, or at least not used widely. So that's why it's 550. And this is paying homage to that voyage to Challenger Deep. And you see, head on, it might be hard to see at most angles, but you see the rehaut, or at least the outside of the bezel, you see it says helium release valve there, much like a certain very well-known Rolex. And you see down there, you see the 300 fathoms. Really, really cool. There's three different colorways of this. There's like an all green, which is a dark green version. There's a dark blue bezel and dial. And this version, I like the most. That's why I got this one. This dark gray bezel. I'm pretty sure that's a ceramic black bezel, black dial. But this whole time it's not kind of charged up. Let me undo this. Let me get some charge in here. It's an automatic watch. Yeah, and you see this a dash of color on the tip of the seconds hand, and the writing is this nice light blue. And I just think it's a very attractive package. A very difficult to move bezel, but it has a nice feel to it, if that makes any sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's a 120 click bezel. That crown is massive. I mean, normally I don't really measure the crown, but it just feels, yeah, 9 millimeter crown. As you saw, it's a screw down crown, and it is very, very screwed down. Like, just a lot of, takes a lot of turns to fully screw and unscrew it. Get this closer look. There's the helium escape valve. There's some schmutz there. Now, I think most of the value of this watch is going to that crystal. The normal price of this watch, I think it's $550. It goes on sale occasionally. I picked it up for a little less. I think it's well made. These edges seem a little sharp. Same thing with the bracelet. I don't think this is just, top notch. I've spent more and gotten more elsewhere, but it is a solid bracelet, solid end links. The clasp, solid inner. The outer portion of this clasp seems like it's just stamped, pressed Spinnaker here. Nothing crazy, nothing terrible. Does it have an extension, a dive extension? Yeah, it does. So I think that pops out like that. Yeah. So that's to go over your wetsuit, or if it's just too small in a day, on a hot day or something. Did I put this on? Let's get this on. You'd think I'd remember that, but that's just absurd. Normally I wouldn't get a watch like this. There's plenty of brands that just specialize in super big watches like Diesel and Invicta. I have no interest in those, but there's something about this that just says, like, it's fun. It's the absurdity is, for me, the point. I've not worn this out, and I don't. Yeah, I'm curious what people will think about this. It's just if you read the reviews of this, everyone says you get a laugh. That is absolutely weird. If you are a big-wristed person, you might be able to pull this off. In fact, on my 7.5-inch wrist, it doesn't look that crazy. I think if someone were to see it from the side, they'd say, what's going on there? But I picked it up mainly because of how absurd it is. This is a Seiko NH35, like it's their basic movement. I don't want to quote any specs in there. I'll get that wrong. It's nothing too crazy. I know it has hacking and hand winding. I felt it before. That's, you see when I pull it out, you see the second hand stop, so it's hacking. And I can feel it winding there. Man, that crown actually feels really good when I'm screwing it in, and the bezel feels really good. Yeah, this is a chunk of steel. You either know that you're never going to wear something like this, or you see it and go, yeah, I could rock that. So we got the dimensions. Let's turn off the lights, and let's see how it looks with the Lume. I'm going to turn down the exposure on this watch so we can kind of see this. Yeah, that's what it looks like in here. I did this before and I was pleasantly surprised. I think it looks mighty fine. You see, the watch is so big, but the dial, you see the date butts right up against the edge there. So much of this is just steel. Awesome, nice and bright. I know there's other channels that do a much better job at, well, everything compared to me, but I don't really put too much work into it. I like that. I know some people like the fully loomed bezel, but this just has a really nice look to it. You got that loomed pip on the second hand. I think that's a requirement for ISO. There's no lume at the 3. This is not ISO certified, yeah. And set aside the absolute ridiculous dimensions, and I think they managed to make a very handsome watch. Like, if your task was to make a 45 millimeter watch that was 21 millimeters thick and make it look nice somehow, I think they did. Anyways, I got it because of just how ridiculous it is, and I kind of like it. Well, hopefully you found that useful, and, well, thank you very much. All right. Take care.